Hi friends, today we'll be talking about the tibia. It is the long bone and the most strong bone and the larger bone of the lower part of the limb. It is the medial side of the bone and is divided into the upper end, the lower end and the shaft. We'll be talking about its features, its borders, surfaces and the muscle attachment along with the clinical anatomy of tibia. The tibia is the medial and the larger bone of the leg and is homologous with the radius. The side determination is very important when you talk about the long bones. The upper end is larger, the lower end is narrower, and on its medial side there is an extended projection that is called as the medial malleolus, and the shaft is having an anterior border which is crest like. So this bone is, the upper portion is large, lower portion is narrow. This becomes on the medial side and this is anteriorly. So this is my left bone. The tibia has, as I've already told you, the upper end, the shaft and the lower end. The upper end of the tibia is markedly expanded to form expanded from side to side. It has two large condyles which overhangs the posterior surface of the shaft. So if you see this bone like this is hanging downwards and backward. So these are the two condyles. The medial condyle and the lateral condyle. So this is the medial malleolus and this is the medial condyle. So this is the medial condyle, this is the lateral condyle. The medial condyle is larger than the lateral condyle. Its superior surface articulates with the medial condyle of the femur. The articular surface is oval and its long axis is antero-posterior. The central part of the surface is concave and comes in direct contact with the femoral condyle, whereas the peripheral part is flat and is separated from the femoral condyle by medial meniscus. The lateral margin of the articular surface is raised to cover the medial intercondylar tubercle, and the posterior surface of the medial condyle has a groove. The anterior and the medial surface are marked by numerous vascular foramen. So this is a groove and here you have vascular foramen. The lateral condyle overhangs the shaft more than the medial condyle. The superior surface of the condyle articulates with the lateral condyle of the femur. The articular surface is nearly circular. This is elongated and this is circular. The central part is slightly concave and comes in direct contact with the femur, but the peripheral part is flat and is separated from the femur by the lateral meniscus. So this peripheral part is separated by the medial meniscus and this is separated by the lateral meniscus. Now, second portion of the upper end, we have spoken about the two condyles. The second part is the intercondylar area. The intercondylar area is rough on the superior surface between the articular surface of the two condyles. The area is narrowest in the middle part. This part is elevated to form the intercondylar eminence, which is flanked by the medial and the lateral intercondylar tubercle. So this is the intercondylar tubercle. The medial intercondylar tubercle and the lateral intercondylar tubercle. So this portion is the intercondylar area. The third part of the upper end is the tibial tuberosity. So when we talk about the tibial tuberosity, this portion, it is prominent, located on the anterior aspect of the upper end of the tibia. It forms the anterior limit of the intercondylar area. So this is the condyles, the intercondylar area. This is the limit of the intercondylar area. Inferiorly, it is continuous with the anterior border of the shaft. The tuberosity is divided into an upper smooth area and the lower rough area. The epiphyseal line for the upper end of the tibia passes through this junction, the smooth area, the rough area, and this is the epiphyseal line. Now we will speak about the shaft. This portion between the upper end and the lower end is the shaft. The shaft of the tibia is prismoid in shape. It is prismoid in shape. It has three borders: the anterior, the medial, and the interosseous. Remember, the interosseous border is that border which is between the two bones, and you have three surfaces: the lateral surface, the medial surface, and the posterior surface. So to talk about, this is the anterior, this is the interosseous, and this is the medial, and this is one surface, and one surface. We'll speak that in details. The borders, anterior border, it is sharp, S-shaped. It is convex medially in its upper part and convex laterally in its lower part. It is subcutaneous and it is called as shin. So it extends from the tibial tuberosity above to the anterior border and goes up to the medial malleolus. And this portion, in fact, the anterior border is called as the shin. Then you have the medial border. The medial border is rounded. It extends from the medial condyle above to the posterior border of the medial malleolus. See here. So this is the anterior border which goes to the medial malleolus anteriorly. You have the medial border which goes to the posterior portion of the medial malleolus, and you have the interosseous border which is this one. The interosseous border or the lateral border extends from the lateral condyle a little below and in front of the fibular facet. So here this facet, so when you see, this is the lateral condyle. The lateral condyle posterior inferiorly, you have a facet here. This facet is called as the fibular facet, where the fibular bone is attached. It extends from here and it goes down up to the fibular notch. So this is the fibular notch in its lower portion. Fine. So you have the anterior border, which the medial border, the interosseous border. This is the fibular facet and this is the fibular notch. So from here up to here, that is from the fibular facet to fibular notch, you have the interosseous border. The surfaces, the lateral surface lies between the anterior and the interosseous border. Its upper 3/4 is concave and is directed laterally, and its lower 1/4 is directed forward. So this is more lateral and this is more forward. The medial surface lies between the anterior border and the medial border. It is broad and most of it is subcutaneous. The posterior surface lies between the medial and the interosseous border. It is widest in its upper part. This part is crossed obliquely by a rough ridge called as the soleal line. So this is the soleal line. This portion is the soleal line. The soleal line begins just behind the fibular facet. So you have the fibular facet here. From here it begins, runs downwards and medially, and terminates by joining the medial border at the junction of its upper and the medial third. So this is the soleal line. Above the soleal line, the posterior surface is in the form of a triangular area. The area below the soleal line is elongated and is divided into medial and the lateral portion by a vertical ridge. So this is the soleal line, the triangular area, the vertical ridge, the medial portion and the lateral portion. The nutrient foramen is situated near the upper end of the ridge. You can see this. This is the nutrient foramen. It is directed downwards and transmits the nutrient artery, which is a branch of the posterior tibial artery. So now we have done with the upper end, which has the two condyles, the intercondylar area and the tibial tuberosity. We have done with the shaft, the anterior border, the interosseous border, the medial border, the lateral surface, the medial surface and the posterior surface. Now we will speak about the lower portion, on the lower end of the tibia. The lower end of the tibia is slightly expanded. It has 5 surfaces. Medially it is prolonged downwards, and this is called as the medial malleolus. The anterior surface of the lower end has an upper smooth part. The anterior surface of the lower end has an upper smooth part and a lower rough part and a grooved part. So this is the grooved part. The medial surface is subcutaneous and is continuous with the medial surface of the medial malleolus. The lateral aspect of the lower end presents a triangular fibular notch to which the lower end of the fibula is attached. The upper part of the notch is rough. The lower part is smooth and may be covered with hyaline cartilage. The inferior surface of the lower end is articular. It articulates with the superior trochlear surface of the talus, and this takes part in forming the ankle joint. So this is an articular surface for the talus bone. Medially, the articular surface extends to the medial malleolus. The medial malleolus is short but strong process which projects downwards from the medial surface of the lower end of the tibia to form a subcutaneous prominence on the medial side of the let's talk about the attachment on the upper end. So this is the upper or the plateau of the tibia. This is called as plateau of the tibia. The attachment on the medial condyle. The semimembranosus is inserted into the groove on the posterior surface. Here you have the semimembranosus. The capsular ligament of the knee joint is attached to the upper border, which also gives attachment to deeper fibers of the tibial collateral ligament. Here. And the medial patellar retinaculum is attached on the anterior surface. So here you have semimembranosus, you have the capsular ligament, and here you have the medial patellar retinaculum. On the lateral condyle, The iliotibial tract is attached to the flattened impression on the anterior surface. So on the anterior surface, you have the iliotibial tract. The capsular ligament of the superior tibiofibular joint is attached around the margins of the fibular facet. This is the fibular facet. Around this you have the capsular ligament and of the superior tibiofibular joint. The origin of extensor digitorum longus and peroneus longus extend on to the lateral condyle near the fibular facet. So this is the fibular facet. Here you have two origins. Number one, extensor digitorum longus and peroneus longus. The groove on the posterior surface of the lateral condyle is occupied by the tendon of popliteus with the bursa intervening. Attachment on the intercondylar area, so this portion. The anterior horn of the medial meniscus just in front of the medial just opposite the medial articular surface. The anterior horn of the medial meniscus. The anterior cruciate ligament on a smooth area just behind the medial articular surface. Medial meniscus. Here you have the anterior cruciate ligament. The anterior horn of the lateral meniscus and the posterior horn of the lateral meniscus. So you have four important attachments here. Just remember the names, very important. The anterior horn of medial meniscus, the anterior horn of lateral meniscus, the anterior cruciate ligament and the posterior horn of the lateral meniscus. The posterior horn of the medial meniscus and the posterior cruciate ligament. So just to name here the attachments, I will just repeat the names. The anterior horn of medial meniscus, the anterior cruciate ligament, the anterior horn of lateral meniscus, the posterior horn of lateral meniscus, the posterior horn of medial meniscus and the posterior cruciate ligament. All are attached here in the intercondylar area. On the tibial tuberosity, here the ligamentum patella is attached. The lower rough area of the tuberosity is subcutaneous, but it is separated from the skin by subcutaneous infrapatellar bursa. Now let's talk about the attachment on the shaft. The attachment on the shaft, I will just first tell you the name of the muscles which are attached on the shaft. Tibialis anterior, tibialis posterior, sartorius, gracilis, semitendinosus, tibial collateral ligament, soleus, popliteus, superior extensor retinaculum, capsular ligament, interosseous tibiofibular ligament. Now these are the muscles and the ligaments which are present on the tibia shaft. Let's come on to its position. The tibialis anterior arises, remember, it arises, originates from the upper 2/3 or less of the lateral surface. This is the anterior border, this is the lateral surface. Here you find the tibialis anterior. The upper part of the medial surface receives the insertion of the sartorius. Medial surface receives insertion of sartorius, gracilis and semitendinous. All three are here. The sartorius, the gracilis and the semitendinous. Okay. Still further posterior, to go more posterior, the surface gives attachment to the tibial collateral ligament along the medial border. So this is the medial border. Here at this side on the medial surface, here you have the tibial collateral ligament. So here you have the tibialis anterior, here you have the sartorius, the gracilis, the semitendinosus and the tibial collateral ligament. The soleus, more posterior. The soleus arises from the soleal line. The soleal line gives attachment to the fascia covering the soleus, the fascia covering the popliteus also, and the transverse facial septum. The popliteus is inserted on the posterior surface into the triangular area above the soleal line. Remember we had talked of this triangular area. So above the soleal line, in this triangular area, you have the insertion of popliteus. The medial area of the posterior surface below the soleal line, on the medial part, you have the origin to the flexure digitorum longus, and lateral you have origin to the tibialis posterior. So here you have tibialis posterior. See, this is tibialis anterior here. This side you have the tibialis posterior, and here you have the flexure digitorum longus. Okay, so on the posterior side, soleal line, soleus, popliteus, tibialis posterior and flexure digitorum longus. The anterior border of the tibia gives attachment to the deep fascia of the leg. In its lower part here, it has superior extensor retinaculum, which helps in forming the ankle joint. The rough upper part of the fibular notch gives attachment to the interosseous tibio-fibular ligament. Okay, tibio-fibular ligament. The capsular ligament of the ankle joint is attached to the lower end along the margins of the articular surface. So this margin which is there has the capsular ligament. The deltoid ligament of the ankle joint is attached to the lower border of the medial malleus. Here you have the deltoid ligament. So in the lower part, just to name, you have the superior extensor retinaculum. Here you have the interosseous tibiofibular ligament. Here you have the capsular ligament at its margins. You have the deltoid ligament at the medial malleus. These are the attachment of the lower end of the tibia. So we have completed the attachments of the tibia. Now let's talk about the clinical features. The upper end of the tibia is one of the most common site of osteomyelitis, acute osteomyelitis. The knee joint remains safe because the capsule is attached near the articular margins. The tibia is commonly fractured at the junction of the upper 2/3 and the lower 1/3 of the shaft. So upper 2/3 and lower 1/3, the fracture is common because it is slender here. Now these fractures unite slowly or may not unite at all, as the blood supply to this part of the bone is low. Sometimes the surgeon takes a piece of the bone from the part of the body and uses it to repair the defect in some other bone, that is called as the bone graft. So tibia is an important bone for the bone graft. For this purpose, a small piece of this bone can be utilized. Now this is a very important thing what I am going to tell you. If the foot gets caught in a hole in the ground, there may be a possible abduction, that is the leg are gone inside and the external rotation takes place. In such an injury, first there occurs a spiral fracture of the lateral malleolus, that is in the fibula. Then avulsion of the tibial collateral ligament, which is in the tibia. Then finally the posterior margin of the lower end of the tibia shears off against the talus. So here is the talus and from here it is sheared off. Now this is called as first, second and third degree of Pott's fracture. Forward dislocation of the tibia on the talus produces the characteristic prominence of the heel of this injury. This is the commonest type of fracture of the ankle. So the Pott's fracture is common in tibia degree 1, degree 2 and degree 3, as I have told you. The first degree in the fibula, the second degree along with fibula into the ligament, and the third degree the shearing off with the talus bone. So this is the clinical anatomy of tibia. Thank you.